Hello, hope you are having a nice day there. So in this video, I'm going to demonstrate how you will create the spatial database for your field station project. So it is assumed that you have been to site, you have collected all of this field station attribute information, and you need to create a database for them. So here, I'm going to show you how you can do this in 3 or 2 software. The first is the ArcGIS, then the ArcGIS Pro, then maybe QGIS. So any of the software you decide to use is up to you. So I have a document here where I outline some of the things I'm going to talk about in this video. So first of all, you need to download the software. If you need to use ArcGIS Pro or ArcGIS ArcMap, you can get a free trial from this link. Actually, it will give you a 21-day trial. Let me see. So if you open up the link, you can fill up this form, and then you have access to download a 21-day trial for the ArcGIS Pro. Then for QGIS, you can go to that link, go to this link, and then you should be able to download it for your operating system. Usually, you'll be working on Windows, so you can download any of these, either 64-bit or 32-bit version. With that done, the next thing you need to know is that there are many spatial database engines. The first one is the SpatiaLite here, and then the second one here is the file Geodatabase. So these two are the ones I'm going to use in this video. The reason is because they are the simplest form of databases that you can create using either ArcGIS Pro or QGIS, because they come by default in this software. You don't need to install any extra or additional software, just like Oracle. If you need to use Oracle, you need to install additional software. Similar thing to PostgreSQL or PostGIS. You need to install a third-party software to be able to use some of these databases. So File Geodatabase comes with ArcGIS Pro and ArcMap, while SpatiaLite comes with QGIS by default. So we are going to use these two databases. You don't need to worry about the others. Then the workflow for this video is we need to create a project folder, then import and convert the spreadsheet data into a shapefile. Then we have to create the database, then import the shapefile into this database. That is the workflow. So first of all, I'm going to create this project folder. So I'll go back to my desktop and then just right click, then create a new folder. So here I'm just going to name it filling station project. You can give it whatever name you want, but make sure the name is descriptive. Then inside the folder, of course, I'm going to create two separate folders, one for ArcGIS and then one for QGIS. So here I'm going to save all the database files for the ArcGIS. Then the second folder will contain all the database files for QGIS, as I'm going to demonstrate in this video. Now that we have the folder structures created, there are some things I would also like to clarify before we proceed. Since for ArcGIS, I'm going to do for both ArcGIS Pro and ArcMap. So I will also create two folders here, one for the ArcMap and then the other one for ArcGIS Pro. So this is for ArcMap and then this is for ArcGIS Pro. Yes, so with the folder structure out of our way, we can now proceed with the database creation. So if I go back to the Excel file, there is something I would like to clarify here. Since the workflow I'm going to use we are going to create a shapefile, then the shapefile will now be imported into the database. So there is a limitation to a shapefile. For example, the column name cannot have special characters of 11, maximum length of 11 characters for the column names in a shapefile. So when you have a very long column just like this, if you import it into the GIS environment and convert it to a shapefile will truncate the part of the name and limit it to 11 characters. And then in some cases, the truncated names will not make sense. So here what I did was to rename them, making sure that I adhere to the limitations of a shapefile by maintaining the maximum character to be less than 11. So I'm going to delete these longer names. But of course, in your report, you need to keep it and then explain these shorter versions when you are writing your report for this database. So with this, I will now save this as a text file, as a CSV text file inside my GIS project folder. So I'm going to save it here in the ArcMap project folder so that it will be easier for me to locate it when I'm working with ArcGIS. So I'll go to File, Save As, then navigate to that location. Then I will now save it as Arc, or let me just say filling station data. So remember to change this to CSV. So the reason why you shouldn't save it as an Excel file is because Excel usually contain special characters which can confuse the GIS software when you import it into the environment. So it is a recommended option to use a CSV file, which is just a plain text file format. Then we need to save it. Click on OK, click on Yes. So when you check the project folder, you should see the file as a CSV file. So remember to use a CSV file, not Excel workbook. So with this, we now need to open up our ArcMap. So if you have installed the ArcGIS software, you should have both the ArcGIS Pro and then the ArcMap. So here I'm using the ArcMap 10.5 version. If you are using 10.6, 10.7, 10.8, or 10.2, or even 10.0, the workflow should be the same to what I have here. So later on, we're going to use ArcGIS Pro, but for now, let's start with ArcMap. So launch the ArcMap software, and then you should be presented with an interface that looks something close to this, depending on the version you are using. So the first thing we need to do is to set the unit for this project, and then also save the project file. So remember that our coordinates are in UTM, and the location of these coordinates is zone 32 degrees north. So I'll have to change the project coordinate system. So I can do that by simply right clicking on the layer and then go to properties. So from the properties, I'm using a projected coordinate system. So select projected coordinate system, then go to UTM, then WGS, then the location of the site is in the northern hemisphere, and then the zone is 32 degrees north. So scroll and locate 32 degrees north. So UTM zone 32 degrees north. Click on apply, click on OK, and then you see that the coordinates have changed from unknown to meters when you look at it at the bottom right corner. Then the next thing is to open the catalog and then go to the project folder, then drag and drop the CSV file. This CSV file we saved earlier. So if you cannot see the catalog button here, you can open it up from the Windows, then catalog, then locate your project folder and then locate your CSV file. Drag and drop it on the map canvas. So here we have the table in Excel in CSV format added to the ArcMap table of content. So we cannot see it on the map, because it is still a table. It is just like an Excel. If I open it, you see that we have the same content as in the Excel file. So these are all the columns and all the rows imported. So in order to display the data on the map, you need to right click on it and then select display XYZ data. Then you need to set the X field, Y field, and probably the Z field, and also the coordinate system. So here the X is always the easting. If you are using longitude and latitude, the X field is always the longitude. Then the Y field is always for latitude, which is equivalent to the northings in this case for Cartesian coordinate system. Then the Z is always the height or whatever variable you need to use. Even though here we are not going to use the height, but I will just select it just for information sake. Then the coordinate system is zone 32 degrees north, which is correct. So if what you have here is not correct, you can edit it. You can click on this edit button and then choose the correct coordinate system. So with this done, you click on OK. So here is a little info window, and then it's telling you that you cannot perform queries on this layer because it's just a table. For you to perform spatial queries, you need to convert it to a shapefile, which we are going to do very soon. And this is the procedure of converting it to a shapefile. We are going to do it very soon. So click on OK, and then here you can see the points representing the filling stations display on the map. The map is a blank map. If you need to add a background map, you just need to go to this add button and then select a base map. Then from the base map, you can select either satellite or OpenStreetMap or whatever map that interests you. So here I'm going to use this topographic map as my base map. Or sorry, let me use this street map as my base map. You can choose any option here that you want to use. You can use satellite image, another one, but let me use this street map. Then click on add. So it will add the layer, it will add the background map, and then you will see the location of where you have these coordinates, these points, this filling station within the town. So with the base map added, you will see the points lying along the roads, and then you will see other streets that falls within around the point. So the base map can be added only if you have internet connection. So make sure your system is connected to the internet before you add the base map, or else this button will not be active. So with that said, I will export this CSV file to a shapefile. To do that, all you need to do is to right click, then go to data, then export. Then here you can now choose where you want to export it to. So here I'm going to export it to the ArcMap project folder. So I'm going to create a new folder here. I'll call it Shapefile, SHP for short. So inside of this folder, I'm going to save the shapefile. So let me give it a friendly name as filling station shapefile. Then the save as type, make sure it's a shapefile. So with this, you can click on save and then click on OK. Then yes, you can click on yes to add it to the map. So here we have the shapefile, the converted shapefile added to the map. And henceforth, we can remove these layers. We don't need them anymore. If you go back to the project folder, you should see the folder and the corresponding shapefiles added that we just created. So this shapefile is what we are going to import into ArcMap, into file Geodatabase from the ArcMap. So remember the workflow. We have created the project folders. We have imported and converted the spreadsheet data, that is this data, into a shapefile. Now we need to create the database. So if I go back to ArcMap, to create a database, I will need to go back to the catalog, then right click on the window on the folder I want to create the database and go to new. So here I will select file geodatabase, not personal geodatabase. Make sure you use file geodatabase because that is the most advanced database compared to the personal geodatabase. This one is the old database used by ArcGIS before it was improved to file geodatabase. So select file geodatabase and then rename it. So here I'm going to rename it to something friendly. Maybe I'll call it filling station database. Remember to keep the extension GBD. So the database is empty, but let's look at it in the project folder. So this is it in the project folder. If you open it up, you see so many files that are related to the database. So this is the file geodatabase we just created. If I go back to ArcMap, I need to import this shapefile now inside this file geodatabase. So all I need to do is to right click on the database and then click on import. So I can import different feature classes. I can import single feature class and multiple feature class. I can even import table and even a raster dataset. So what we have here is a shapefile that we just created, and it's just a single shapefile. So I will import it as a single feature class. So select single feature class, and then from the table, from the windows that will pop up, you will now select the settings as follow. So the input is going to be the shapefile layer, which is this, as we have it on the table of content. Then the output location, of course, the output location is the database we just created, which is located in this folder. Then the output feature class, this is going to be the name that will be displayed on the table of content. So I can call it something like filling stations. Then the expression, this is optional. And then the field map, this is also optional. I would like all the fields to be imported into the database. Then with this, you need to click on OK. And then now when you go back to the Arc catalog, by the time it finishes, it will show you, it will indicate that it has finished creating the database. And then when you refresh, you will see this shapefile as a table within this database. So let's give it a few minutes to finish creating the database. So as you can see, it has finished creating the database. And then when you check the database, right click on it and refresh, then expand it, you should see the filling station table inside the file geodatabase we just created. So now we can remove the shapefile, and then we now have the file geodatabase with the filling station table added right inside it, just like that. So this is how to create a file geodatabase in ArcMap. That is this option. So in the next section, I'm going to show you how to create the same file database. But this time around, we are going to use the newer version of ArcMap, which is the ArcGIS Pro. Now let's launch the ArcGIS Pro and then repeat the same thing we just did in ArcMap. So if you open up ArcGIS Pro, open a blank map. So here I'm going to save the project. I'm going to create a project folder. I will give it a name, filling stations. Then the location of the folder is going to be inside, it's going to be on the desktop inside the ArcGIS and then ArcGIS Pro. ArcGIS Pro, I'll select that folder. I don't need to create a new folder for this. I think that folder is okay, and the name is filling station. So click on OK. So it will create the project folder for us. If I go back to check what you are going to have, so this folder is going to be populated with the project folder we created. So here I'll say no. So that is one major improvement in the ArcGIS software package. With the older version, you need to create so many things manually. But here, with the latest version of ArcGIS Pro, when you create a project folder, it will create a file geodatabase for you automatically. But with the earlier versions, you need to do all those things manually. So just by saving the project folder, we have a file geodatabase created for us. And all we need to do is just to push in tables into it. Here is a blank ArcGIS Pro software. And then all I need to do is to open up the filling station database, which is inside my project panel, and then add up whatever layers I need to add. So let's create a new map and then add the shapefile we created in the previous section and then import it into this file database we just created. So I will go to map, new map, and then when the new map is created, I will add the shapefile layer. Then I need to go to add, then add data. So since I've created the shapefile with the previous version here, I can easily add the shapefile there, or I can still repeat the same process we did with the earlier version. That's by importing the filling station CSV file and then converting it to shapefile and then importing it into the database we created. So here I will just add the shapefile instead of adding the XYZ event data. That's the CSV file. So click on add data, then navigate to the project. Remember the file is on the desktop and is inside ArcGIS, and then I have it inside the ArcMap shapefile. So select it, then click on open. And then you see that we have our shapefile and even the base map straight away added into the map environment. So unlike the previous version, the earlier version where we have to add the base map manually and even create the file database manually, and virtually everything we have to do it one after the other. But with the ArcGIS Pro, everything is automatic. There is great improvement. You don't need to do most of this data import and export. You just need to do what is important. So here's the database that was created when we created the ArcGIS Pro project folder. So all I need to do here is just to right click and then import a feature class. So I'll go to new, then new feature class. And then the new feature class is the shapefile we created previously. So the feature class location is going to be inside the default database we created. Then the feature class name, I will call it maybe filling station. Filling station. Then the geometric type, it should be a point. Then the template feature class is this shapefile layer I added earlier. Then all these can be kept as default. Then the coordinate system, it should be UTM zone 32 degrees north. So make sure you choose the right projected coordinate system. So UTM, projected UTM, then world 1984, then the northern hemisphere, then zoom 32 degrees, because that is where the location of the site is. So with that, you now click on run at the bottom right corner. So something went wrong. So this is what I was saying earlier on. As you can see, this version of ArcGIS has spotted an invalid character and it refused to execute this process. So we need to go back and then identify the character that was invalid that causes it to break. So of course, I'm not going to show you how to do that, but definitely if you check through, maybe these brackets are not supported in this version of database with that comes with the ArcGIS Pro. So you need to remove those brackets and then probably some other characters that may not be supported. So, but basically that is how to go about it. If you click on run, it will import it and then you have it inside your file Geodatabase, just the way we did it with the ArcMap. That is the process. So in the next section, I'm going to show you how we can create the SpatiaLite database inside of QGIS. So here with QGIS, what we need to do is to make use of the SpatiaLite database. Remember, we have used file Geodatabase for the ESRI products, ESRI, ArcGIS Pro, and then the ArcMap. So in this case, we are going to use QGIS for the SpatiaLite, QGIS, because that is the easiest or simplest database that is supported in QGIS. So if you want to use QGIS, first of all, what you need to do is open up this browser window. And if you cannot see it here, what you need to do is go to layer. No, sorry, go to view, then panels, then you will see the browser right here. So when you click on it, it should open up the browser window. And on the browser window, you will see that we have so many databases. We have the DB2, Oracle, MySQL, PostGIS, and then we have the SpatiaLite. So this is the database we are going to use. So first of all, let's import our CSV file and then convert it into a shapefile, then create a database, and then import the shapefile into the database, just the way we have the workflow outlined here. So the first thing is to, already we have created the project folder, which looks like this, and this is the QGIS project folder. So here I'm going to save the filling station CSV file, which is this. Then I will import it into QGIS by going to layer, then add delimited text layer. So I'll browse to the location, then select the file, click on open. So it's a point coordinate. The X is for easting, and then the Y is for nodding. You can even select the Z for height, but we don't need it at the moment. Then the coordinate reference system, make sure it is set to UTM zoom 32 degrees north. If you cannot find it here, you click on this button and then search for it. You can search for it here. You have the geographical coordinate, we have the projected coordinate. So under the projected coordinate, what you are looking for is WGS World System WGS 1984. So you search for it, or you can type inside the filter here, maybe UTM, then zoom 32 degrees, and then it will filter it out for you here. So you select it and then click on OK. So already I've done mine and I've selected it. And then you can see the preview of the data as it is in the Excel CSV file we saved. So when you click on add, it should add the data for you on the map canvas just like that. So this is still a text file, which is just a CSV file. So to export it to a shapefile, you right click on the layer name and then go to export, then save features as. So in the format, you need to select ESRI shapefile. Then the file name, you will navigate to where you have your QGIS project. And then I'm going to create a new folder here, call it shapefile, SSP for short. Then inside that folder, I'm going to save the new shapefile. I'll call it filling station. Then I'll add shapefile to the name so that I will easily identify it as a shapefile. And click on save, then click on OK, and then add save file to map. So here is our new shapefile. The CSV file will no longer need it, so I can right click on it and then remove it. Then I can remove it from the layer panel. So this is our shapefile data. And here, if I need to add a background map to QGIS, what I need to do is go here, go to the web, and then use this service, quick map service. So I can select satellite, Google satellite map or Google road map. Let's use satellite map in this case, since I will use a road map in ArcMap and ArcGIS Pro. So this is it. So if you go to web and then you don't have this option here, you need to install it as a plugin. So you need to go to plugin, then manage and install plugin, then make sure that you are connected to the internet. Then search for quick map service. This is it. I've already installed it. So when you select it, then you click on install. The installation button will be somewhere here. Instead of reinstall it to be install plugin, so click on install plugin and then it's installing for you. So when you come back to web, and then you should be able to find it here. And then when you don't have so many options like this, you can go to settings and then enable those options, more services, and then get contributor services, so that you will have all of these other options. Even though what we needed here is just the Google satellite, and I've added it already. So with this, I need to now create the database. So since I'm creating a SpatiaLite database, I'll come here, right click on the SpatiaLite option, then create a new database. So I need to go navigate to the location of my QGIS project folder, then give it a name. Let me call it filling station database, and note the extension. The extension is SpatiaLite database extension, and it supports about 5 different extension types. So click on save. If I check my project folder, I will see the database file created just like that. Then the next thing I need to do is to import my shapefile layer into this database. As it is, there is no data, there is no table inside the database. So to do that, I need to go to the menu, database, then DB manager. Then I will now connect to the filling station database. Then I will now click on import layer. So from the import layer, the input should be the shapefile we created. That is this shapefile on the layer panel. So you can select it from here, or you can browse to the location where you have the shapefile and then select it and open it. Whichever one you do is the same. Then the schema, the table name, the options. I will need a primary key, I'll need a geometric column, then the source spatial reference identity, of course, is WGS UTM zone 32 degrees north. The target is the same thing. The encoding, I can use UTF-8 for the character encoding. Then replace destination. If the table exists, when you check this option, it will replace it. But already, I'm sure that the table does not exist, so I don't need to replace anything. Then some other, I need to also create spatial index. If you have a very large data, when you create this spatial index, it will make your database performance very fast. Convert field name to lowercase. Already the field names are all in lowercase, so I don't need to worry about that. If I go back and check the original data, I can see that all the column names, all the field names are in lowercase, so I don't need to worry about that option. So with this selected, I need to now click on OK. And then it will import the shapefile into the SpatiaLite database we created. So the import was successful. If I click on OK, now if I expand the filling station database, I now see that I have a table called filling station shapefile, which is this shapefile I have imported. So the relation type is a table. The rows, we have 30 rows. If you check the source file, we have 30 rows for this. And then we have other database information below it. And then you can preview the table. And also you can preview the map using this preview tab. So the most important thing is you can perform spatial queries. Unlike the normal limited query you can perform on a shapefile, here you can perform more complicated and advanced queries using this database manager. That is how to create a shapefile or a database and then import the data table or a shapefile into it.